Even though the Apple iPhone 17 series introduction is still months away, the new, incredibly thin iPhone 17 Air and its rumored enhanced features have already created a lot of talk. However, there is some bad news for iPhone users due to a recent leak. Rumors that the base iPhone 17 and the iPhone 17 Air will come with promotion screens have reportedly been refuted by a Chinese leaker with a track record of accurate predictions. The display included in the entry-level iPhone 17 and iPhone 17 Air is just a standard 120Hz screen, not promotion with adaptive refresh rate, according to sources referenced by Weibo leaker Fixed Focus Digital. This indicates that Apple will continue to use low-temperature polycrystalline silicon panels for its less expensive iPhones, even if the 120Hz refresh rate will be an improvement above the 60Hz panels used in the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus. Without promotion, a fixed 120Hz screen would be smooth, for example, when a user scrolls down quickly, but it would likely consume more power because it continually refreshes swiftly. However, by automatically changing the refresh rate from 1 Hz to 120 Hz, depending on user interaction and content, promotion helps save battery life. Promotion has only been accessible on the Pro models since its 2021 release on the iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max. However, prior sources indicated that Apple intended to include the 120 Hz variable refresh rate in both the new iPhone 17 Air and the standard iPhone 17. But if the latest Fixed Focus Digital leak is accurate, it seems that promotion technology will remain exclusive to the iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max Pro models. Whether we like it or not, the incredibly thin iPhone 17 Air, as everyone has been dubbing it, will be released this fall. Its sleek profile will make influencers swoon, and I'll surely try to cut cake with it. The creature conveniences that we are all accustomed to on our regular-sized slabs will probably be eliminated from phones that are just a little thicker than a USB-C connector. The information not only reports that Apple intends to change its iPhone release strategy starting next year, releasing more affordable models like the iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e in the spring and more expensive models like the 18 Pros, 18 Air, and a foldable iPhone in the fall, but it also claims that the iPhone 17 Air this fall will have a shorter battery life than the iPhone 17 and 17 Pros. According to the study, between 60% and 70% of users will be able to go a day without charging the thin phone. According to one of the individuals, that metric is between 80% and 90% for other models. Naturally, a smaller phone necessitates a smaller battery that fits within the metal casing of the iPhone 17 Air. Apple could use efficient chips or other methods to make up for a smaller battery, but this first-generation iPhone Air might not be one of them. According to reports, Apple intends to market a battery casing that consumers can affix to increase the interval between charges. The cynic will claim that this is just another instance of Apple inventing a problem in order to market an accessory as a fix. Naturally, if having the longest battery life is your first priority, idealists will argue for the thinness and advise you to simply purchase a standard iPhone or Pro model. Apple previously offered a MagSafe Battery Pack as an accessory to compensate for the iPhone 12's shorter battery life. Although Apple would never explicitly explain why it sold battery cases, it's quite likely that the iPhone 12, which were the first to come with power-hungry 5G modems, were unable to function for an entire workday. A few years later, Apple discontinued the MagSafe Battery Pack. Was it a coincidence that when iPhones became thicker and their batteries lasted longer, that's what happened? Or did Apple halt production because it refused to replace the Lightning port on the accessory with a USB-C port after the EU compelled it to utilize the universal port? Redditors are undoubtedly prepared to accuse others of conspiracy. The iPhone 17 Air's shorter battery life will make headlines, but it's not the only drawback. We already know that this phone will have a single prominently displayed rear camera. Additionally, according to the information, the thin iPhone will only have one speaker rather than the two found in the other iPhone 17s. Customers will not be pleased with any of this news come autumn, but if you want Apple's thinnest iPhone ever, you will have to face the fact that you will need to acquire a battery pack. The skinny one is ridiculously small, according to a video posted by YouTuber Sam Cole that features excellent dummy models of the upcoming iPhone 17 and 17 Pros, as well as the iPhone 17 Air. The incredibly thin iPhone 17 is coming soon. The amount of smoke is already excessive. What's going to be an expensive iPhone will be made worse by the additional expense. The iPhone 17 Air may start at $900 or more, according to rumors. Apple frequently charges more for the privilege of boasting. Before we know the price of an iPhone 17 Air and a battery pack, we still have the entire summer to go. Furthermore, we are unsure if any of Trump's tariffs will cause that price to skyrocket. However, you should prepare yourself now so that when Apple displays the price slide on screen at Apple Park, the shock won't be too great. Next, iPhone 17 may sound even stranger due to Apple's new OS branding. The internet thought to have finally moved past its obsession with Apple's iPhone naming schemes, yet here we are once more. To be fair, I don't particularly dislike the news that Apple is going to change the names of its operating systems to match the year of introduction. Alternatively, next year. Automobiles do it. Samsung does it. Alright, that's about it. It's not that odd though. I'm confident that it will start to seem natural sooner rather than later if we get past the first inconvenience of going directly to iOS 26 and omitting a few version digits along the way. However, if Apple is indeed heading in that direction, the demand to change the iPhone's name would only grow. It already seems strange to think about iOS 26 running on an iPhone 18, and in a few years, the disparity will likely seem even more pronounced. Ideal timing. I previously talked about how Apple may have the ideal opportunity to streamline the rest of the range by discontinuing Pro Max and focusing only on Ultra in light of the rumored decision to replace the Plus model with an Air model. This would align the iPhone's name with the other high-end branding names that Apple has introduced, such as Apple Watch Ultra, the M-Series Ultra processors, and CarPlay Ultra. Actually, I think I wasn't the only one who anticipated Apple would eventually abandon the numbers completely and switch to the MacBook Pro style naming, which, to be fair, has had its own versioning troubles when we began to veer toward weird titles like iPhone 12 and iPhone 13. However, I had come to terms with the present numbering scheme as time and iPhone releases progressed. Even if it sounded silly at the time, we had all become accustomed to it and had more important things to worry about. However, in a world where the hardware still reads 17, even though the software might indicate 2026, yes, that may begin to feel a little strange again. What then could Apple do in this situation? The first choice is the most likely and quite obvious: nothing. While its OS systems eventually adopt a single year-based convention, Apple continues to use the existing iPhone naming practice. Making the switch to change the iPhone's name is the second option. Both iOS 26 and the iPhone 26 will be released in September, and it is obvious which are the most recent phone models or operating systems. Perhaps with the exception of September through December. However, if people can figure out how to use cars, they can figure out how to use iPhones. I wholeheartedly support removing digits from marketing names. When Apple didn't have numbered marketing names, they did offer older Mac models alongside newer ones. It was not that significant. Other distinctive or differentiating characteristics can also be used in the model name. The chip is sometimes used to refer to the Macs. M2 versus the M3. The Touch Bar is another name for it. Like anything involving Apple Intelligence, I believe the iPhone 16 was a hastily made error. That moniker and the fact that it comes out 6 months after the regular line and that lower-end devices don't typically receive yearly updates anyhow make it extremely strange. Promoting the figure and failing to update it annually would draw attention to its staleness. Those who upgrade less regularly nevertheless tend to buy the cheapest iPhone models. When purchasing a new iPhone, all customers need to know is that it's the newest model. For all the obvious reasons, the third option that Apple completely abandons iPhone numbering is both my favorite and the least likely. iPhone, iPhone Air, iPhone Pro, and iPhone Ultra are the marketing names. What is the actual name of the product? iOS 2026, and so forth. The issue is that when Apple produces new versions, it continues to sell older models, unlike Macs. Everyone is aware that you can get a MacBook Pro right now by walking into an Apple store, but this isn't the case for iPhones. The iPhone 16e, the elephant in the room, comes next. Apple recently unveiled a model that is marketed as the entry-level iPhone and is identified by its number. Is the iPhone E going to be released by Apple? I hope not. It's noisy enough at 60. The rumored year-based OS name change will be more than enough to make people agree, disagree, or laugh at the prospect of resuming these conversations, regardless of whether Apple chooses to change the iPhone's name this year, next year, or never. Where do you land? Tell us in the comments section. So, that's all we know for now. We'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we have more information. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.